In this podcast episode, Dr. Jill Biden shares intimate reflections on family, resilience, personal loss, addiction, and the realities of life in the White House. She opens up about navigating grief, supporting loved ones through addiction, maintaining presence amidst public scrutiny, and her lifelong dedication to teaching. The conversation ranges from early relationship stories to the challenges of political life and ends with reflections on hope, kindness, and the power of confidence. Dr. Biden recounts her journey, beginning at the University of Delaware, where she met Joe Biden during her senior year. Despite initial hesitations, their relationship grew naturally and soon became a blended family with Joe's two sons, Beau and Hunter. She describes the early intentionality they invested in creating a loving family environment grounded in shared experiences and open communication. Jill's decision to commit to the marriage was deeply influenced by her concern for the boys, having lost their mother tragically, and the desire to create stability that would last a lifetime. Jill highlights how she prioritized building a family centered on love and presence. She took time off teaching to become fully engaged as a mother, working in her son's school library and attending their athletic events. She speaks fondly of creating joyful, enduring memories reminiscent of her own idyllic upbringing, emphasizing family dinners, laughter, and traditions. Jill shares touching anecdotes about involving the boys in exciting family moments, like the pregnancy announcement of their sister Ashley, reinforcing the inclusive, nurturing nature of their household. The conversation transitions into Joe Biden's early political ambitions and campaigns. Jill recalls the 1987 presidential run that ended abruptly due to plagiarism allegations, and Joe's serious aneurysm diagnosis, which brought immense challenges but also demonstrated their collective resilience. She reveals early doubts about future campaigns, but recounts her bold stand against political pressure by writing "No" on her stomach to let others know they weren't ready. When Joe later became vice president and ultimately president, Jill supported him unwaveringly, respecting their partnership as a mutual commitment to each other's aspirations and careers. Dr. Biden reflects on the unique pressures and responsibilities of being First Lady. She acknowledges how each First Lady shapes the role differently and expresses respect for those varied approaches. Among the hardest moments she faced were the COVID-19 pandemic, the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and shootings like the tragedy in Uvalde. As someone grounded in teaching, Jill explains how she compartmentalizes, fully immersing herself in whatever role she inhabits at the moment, whether teaching, mothering, or public service, to manage emotional demands and remain present. Teaching remains a profoundly meaningful part of Jill's life and identity. She shares how instilling confidence in her students is her greatest gift, more important than any technical skill. Through creative assignments like poetry writing, she fosters community and pride among students, many of whom are non-traditional learners spanning a wide age range. Jill maintains close relationships with former students, continuing to mentor and inspire. She underscores the importance of educators who uplift and challenge students to think deeply, attributing much of her own growth to her teachers' encouragement. Jill discusses her passionate advocacy for women's health, highlighting the historical neglect of female-specific research and medical treatment. She describes efforts made during the White House initiative to redirect funding and attention toward women's health issues, including osteoporosis, autoimmune disorders, and menopause. Beyond medicine, she emphasizes the significance of Title IX and the burgeoning recognition of women's sports. Jill encourages young women to fight for equality, equal pay, and reproductive rights, underscoring the critical need for financial independence and self-advocacy. A deeply emotional topic arises as Jill speaks candidly about the loss of her son Beau to glioblastoma. She describes the harsh reality of watching his illness unfold, the mixture of hope and devastation, and the profound impact his death had on her family. Jill explains how that grief reshaped their perspective. Nothing that followed could be more painful, which paradoxically made them more resilient to external criticism. She also reflects on the challenge of balancing that personal pain with public life and the need to shield grandchildren from the harshest realities. Jill opens up about navigating the difficulties of Hunter Biden's addiction. She shares the anguish of uncertainty when he was in and out of rehab, often unreachable, and the strain it placed on the family, especially on his young daughters. Despite that, Jill and Joe approached his recovery with unconditional love and persistence, recognizing addiction as a disease. She reveals her regret about not speaking more openly about addiction during their time in the White House, seeing now the power of transparency to help others facing similar struggles. Hunter's current sobriety and work helping others inspire hope. The episode touches on the intense public scrutiny the Biden family has endured, balancing private hardship with relentless media attention. Jill acknowledges the difficulty of managing personal grief and family challenges while in the national spotlight. She speaks about the emotional toll of moments like the 2024 presidential debate where Joe struggled and how she confronted fears about his health firsthand. Despite these challenges, she underscores the unwavering partnership and mutual support within their family to persevere. Jill comments on the evolving landscape of political campaigns heavily influenced by social media platforms like TikTok. She notes the challenges these spaces pose in discerning truth from misinformation, particularly given the rise of AI-generated content. While emphasizing the difficulties in regulating such platforms without infringing on free speech, she voices her concerns about the spread of disinformation and its impact on democracy and public trust. The conversation turns to Joe Biden's ongoing battle with stage 4 cancer and the toll it takes on him and the family. Jill admires his strength and dedication despite the diagnosis and side effects of long-term treatment. She shares how their family has rallied around him, highlighting the support of grandchildren and close loved ones. Jill acknowledges the universal challenge of coping with cancer's harsh realities, offering empathy to others affected by the disease. Returning to themes that thread throughout the episode, Jill reflects on the power of kindness and empathy, values instilled by her mother and central to her worldview. She describes the lasting impact of grief, but also the deep wells of resilience it has fostered in her family. Encouraging listeners to record voices of loved ones and cherish memories, Jill emphasizes how connection and intentional kindness can sustain through life's toughest moments. Concluding the discussion, Jill shares lessons learned across a vibrant life marked by public service and personal trials. She highlights confidence, intentionality, and kindness as foundational principles. To young women especially, she encourages continued advocacy for equality and health, underscoring the importance of hope grounded in the achievements of emerging generations. Throughout, Jill's warmth, honesty, and steadfastness shine, inviting listeners into a candid conversation about love, loss, and perseverance.